Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Scully,
Yes?
marry me.
I love you and I like you.
I love you and I like you.
I love that woman. I love her more than sharks love blood.
I love you.
You don't.
Hello, I'm Tristan Riddell,
And I'm the girl.
and this is Nerd Nuptial. And if this is your first time listening, we are a nerdy couple with a baby, with a nerdy baby, who look at life through a nerdy lens. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. We recently watched Star Trek Discovery, and that's what we're talking about today.
We are talking about Star Trek Discovery. We are sorry that we didn't get you an episode last week. It was actually going to be on the first episode of Star Trek Discovery, but life got in the way, and so now it's going to be about the first two episodes of Star Trek
That's right.
Discovery.
We've got more to talk about.
Because we did review the opening two episodes last season.
Yeah, we did.
So I guess it's fitting that we do the opening two episodes this season.
It's like we planned it.
Oh, yeah, that's totally what we did. Absolutely. And so there will be spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there has to be,
There
right?
kind of has to be. And
So if you haven't watched yet, save this episode for when you have.
or if you don't care, just keep listening.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah, so we're hunkering down for a snowstorm.
We are. It's like a blizzard coming our way.
And the weird thing is, though, is that like either last week or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember what it was, but people kept saying, like the weathermen, the weather women, the meteorologists, if you will,
Yeah.
kept saying that it was going to be apocalypse, just like the worst thing ever. And so I left work early twice
Yeah.
in a row, and nothing happened.
We canceled plans. Like
Yeah,
we were gonna hang out with friends.
Oh, that's right. We were supposed to go. Yeah, we were going to get Mexican food with some friends and then see some other friends the next morning and travel. And we had to postpone all of that because everyone
Yeah.
said that the world was going to end, and the world is still here. But now they're saying it again,
Yes,
and who knows what's going to happen.
I know. But every time, people like rush the grocery store and try to buy all the food and bread and milk and everything like that. And right now I'm just like, every day we've gotten snow. So I'm just like, okay, well, just more snow.
And see, these are those times when I wish that even though I work for a major university, they never really cancel.
It's different than
because of the weather.
school.
It's different
Right.
because I kind of wish that I got those perks of working for a high school or a middle school or elementary school or something like that, where if they cancel class, you're just like, yay, okay, free day,
Hey!
snow day. I don't really
Not
get
really,
those.
no.
Sadly, I don't get those because I would love to have a snow day and watch Star Trek or something like that.
Yeah, being adult you don't get snow days.
You don't really get, especially being a parent, and I'm not trying to pull that over single people, but like being a parent, when your kid gets a snow day and you still have to stay home, you don't get a snow day. You have to take care of the kid.
That's true, but at least you don't have to work or something like that.
So when you got a snow day,
Mm-hmm.
what did you do? Like, did you watch stuff? Like, that's basically what I did. I just
Oh, yeah.
watched stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what was your go-to?
Like as a kid?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, honestly. I think I probably played actually more than... I really do think I did.
Weak.
I was really into Barbie. That was kind of my thing of choice, especially in the winter. I'm trying to think what I would have watched, though. Probably movies. Probably like Disney movies. Or Shirley Temple movies.
Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting that you're into Shirley Temple. My go-to
As a child.
as a child, my go-to, I think, on snow days, really, and this is no joke. I just now remember this was the original Land Before Time
Oh, nice.
in
Nice.
Feifel Goes West.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would do a double bill.
Those
For
are
some
good.
reason, my sister and I, we'd always link those two together. I don't know why we would.
Feifel Goes West was better than American Tail.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. I love
Yeah,
that
it's
way
more fun.
I can't wait to show those to Ripley.
Yeah.
But
that'll
then
be
again,
fun.
I remember Land Before Time being super maudlin. Am I making that up?
No, there was moments of like sadness for sure. We kind of grew up with some heavy stuff.
I
if
feel
you
like
think
we
about
did.
it, right? Like I want to go back and see if it was as heavy as we remember it to be.
That's true. Yeah, because we have it on DVD.
That's true, we do.
But like, yeah, I just remember growing up and always thinking that every movie I watched, the mom was going to die. Like every single time a mom
Like
was
the
introduced,
Bambi
I was just
type.
like, oh yeah, it's the Bambi effect. It's
Yeah.
like, the mom's gonna die.
Yeah.
Made me really concerned about my own mom. Like,
Yeah, I bet.
anyway. So something where the mom doesn't die is these episodes of Star Trek.
That was quite an interesting transition.
That was my segue. And it was beautiful. Don't knock that segue. Practically seamless. Practically. So, for those of you who don't know, Star Trek Discovery is the next iteration of Star Trek, and season 1 was last year, maybe 2 years ago, technically.
Oh, because of how long it took to. Yeah, maybe.
And so it just aired 2 weeks ago, and it was an episode called Brother. That was the season 2 opener, and the season 1 cliffhanger was that the Enterprise came out of nowhere. Like the Discovery, like the Klingon War is over. Discovery's out and about. They heard a distress call, and it was from 1701.
And again, if you haven't watched, like, and you're planning on watching, you shouldn't still be listening.
If you've listened this far, then you're on your own.
That's
like
right.
we
Yeah,
told
there
you
will
that
be
there was going to be
spoilers.
spoilers. And so Captain Pike shows up, and everybody was losing their minds about Captain Pike being played by Anson Mount and showing up. What did you, when you saw the trailer for season 2, what did you think about everything? Like, what do you think about the introduction of the Enterprise? What do you think about Pike coming on board and Spock potentially coming in? What did you think of that? As someone who's a non-fan, like, you've seen a lot of Star Trek,
Yeah.
but you're not like the biggest Star Trek fan.
No, I'm not. I really was kind of just neutral about it, to be completely honest with you. I wasn't super excited. The only thing I was really excited about was Tig Notaro being on,
Right.
or at least being in an episode or whatever. So that was about all I was excited about, really, to be completely honest with you.
and to jump ahead in our review, Tig Notaro, shocking, played Tig Notaro.
Yeah.
And
I was okay with that.
And she was
Yeah.
hilarious.
We love her as a comedian, and so when I saw that she was going to be in Star Trek, I was like, that's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, speaking of snowstorms and everything like that, we were supposed to go see her downtown.
Yeah.
And see her stand up, and we had to cancel at the last second because we had extreme
Weather,
below temperatures.
And I was very pregnant.
You were very pregnant, and there was threats of flash freezes.
Yeah.
And everything like that. So, like, if we got any kind of moisture, boom, everything would freeze over immediately.
Yeah, we were pretty bummed about that.
And we had to sell the tickets like that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so bummed because we weren't able to see her live.
I know.
And then her show gets canceled on Amazon Prime, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good to see her again,
Mhm,
at least
absolutely.
in a small scene because
Yeah.
it wasn't very large.
Yeah. So yeah, what did you think about the trailer going in? Like, did you have high hopes, high expectations?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I was the season 2 trailer definitely got me jazzed.
Okay.
I was surprised at how excited I was because anybody who's listened to the show for a while, and when we talked about it last season, because we talked about the opener and we talked about the finale, I was not rah Discovery. I mean, I was definitely more into it than you were.
Yeah.
But when the season opened, when the show opened, I was just kind of like, ooh, like, okay, the pieces are there, but they're not exactly fitting, and everything feels a little weird and stoic and stiff. And I mean, I was surprised that we got the quality that we did. Once you factor in all the behind the scenes drama that happened,
Right, and there's a lot
with the executive producers, with the creators, and the studio, and blah 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 blah. But as the show moved on, and especially when we got to the second half after the Christmas break, it started grabbing me more and more and more. And by the time we got to the closer, I was like, okay, I'm on board. Like this show is finding its feet. And just right off the bat, season 1 opener blew me away.
Season 1
No, season
2 opener.
Season 2 opener.
Gotcha.
Brother.
Oh
blew
yeah,
me away.
it was really good. I liked it too.
I was so surprised. Actually, after seeing the trailer, anticipating it, and actually seeing it, like, see that it actually delivered what it promised from the trailer was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was very lukewarm about season 1. I do agree that it got better with time, but it felt like the characters were a little forced or like not quite developed at the beginning, and then they kind of found themselves later on, which you have to allow for a first season to do. But all of the elements of like the special effects were there and really great sets, and like their costumes were great, everything like that. But I felt a lot kind of convoluted in their story plots and stuff like that. There was a lot of like, okay, what are we doing now? Whereas this season feels a lot more Trek to me, and feels a lot more like kind of like we have a common thread we can tell going through the season, but it feels more like here's an adventure and here's an adventure.
Yeah.
At least with the first two
At least
episodes.
with the first two. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Which, I think really works well for a Trek. I mean, obviously some people might disagree, but I'm not a huge fan, so I'm not going to take offense. So I just think it works well, and I think it's like a fun, okay, like what adventure are we going to see this week? So as a non-fan, I'm enjoying these like short little, basic like, it almost feels like a little mini movie, right?
It's interesting to me that you say that, because I always felt like you are a much bigger fan of the continued story arc where every episode is a chapter.
Yeah, I just didn't think they did that well last season. So I think that I feel like they were trying to go in that direction last season, and there was a lot of, I felt like, wasted space in the episodes, or I'm like, did we really need to take all that time to get there? Because when I think about the first season, I really am thinking about like the Klingon War and everything like that. But like when I think about it, I'm not like, oh, I loved that episode where they did this.
That's true.
I honestly cannot pick a single episode out, other than maybe the one where
the Groundhog's Day episode.
Yeah, maybe that one. But that's about it. To me, it's all like kind of a blur of true. This is the storyline. Whereas this season already, if you were to describe each one, I'm like, oh yeah, it's that episode.
That's and to be fair, we only have two.
I
so
know,
far,
but I'm just saying, I feel like they're going more in that direction, which I think is working. So far.
I kind of echo your statements. Like with season 1, it's like it was kind of like you had the Klingon War backdrop, you had the mutineer backdrop, you had Burnham trying to get her status back and make amends, and then you had the Lorca storyline, and then
it was a lot.
There was just
so
too much going on. And with this one, it's like so far it's you have the Red Angel, which is going to be like that's this, you can tell that's the arc,
right?
Like, that's the arc of the season,
right?
What are these lights and what do they mean? And as they investigate those lights, they have those adventures along the way.
And I think that that's a great framing device for the season.
Yes.
Whereas I feel like they were trying to put so much into the first season of like, this is who Burnham is, and she went against the system, and she did this, and then she did this, and now she's in this position. Well, if you actually think about it, you're like, wait, so we started this whole thing, and she was like in jail?
Oh my gosh.
Like, if you actually think back, you're like, wait.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
So it was like they were trying to put so much into that first season.
First episode even, that it was just kind of a mess. Yeah.
In my opinion. Whereas now, I mean, yes, it helps that we know these characters.
And you had to do that. You had to get through season 1 in order to do that.
But now I feel like we're on the right path. And I really do like the addition of Pike.
Yeah, I'm not as in love with Pike as everybody else is. The internet lost its mind over Pike.
Oh, really?
And Anson Mount's good. Like he's handsome. I'll give him that. But I still need a little bit more time with him.
Okay.
Like I don't have anything too
I like him so much more than Lorca.
I loved Lorca.
Oh, I didn't like him.
I positively loved Lorca.
I didn't like him.
He was my favorite thing.
Really?
About Star Trek
Oh,
Discovery.
I didn't like him.
What did you not like about him?
He was too one note to me. Like, he didn't have any, like, anything going on, in my opinion. Like, he was just like, this is who I am. He felt like playing against Burnham. It was like, we're in this very stoic room with not a lot of emotion all the time,
I get that.
like in the ready room and stuff like that.
I get that.
Whereas now we have like someone who Burnham actually kind of is more likable with.
Burnham wasn't very likable in season
No,
one.
whereas I didn't really like her. Whereas now I'm like, all right, I think they are making her more human. And
Thank goodness.
that's really good, because that was one of my biggest criticism of the first season of her being our protagonist was she has no personality.
No charisma.
No charisma.
And that's
I understand that she's, grown up with Vulcans. I get
But look
that.
at Spock.
Right.
Look at Spock in the original
He's
series.
still lovable.
He had tons of charisma
Exactly.
without conveying emotion.
Exactly.
So, such and such as it was.
Whereas now I feel like this character we now are falling more in love with her.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's necessarily Pike that's doing that, but I do like the two of them together.
I think because she's still stoic
Mm-hmm.
and but she's trying to be funny every once in a while. She's trying to loosen up. But Pike is immediately charming.
Yes.
And immediately lovable.
Right.
And he even throws in some dad jokes here
Right.
and there.
It feels a little bit more Kirkian in nature because he is more of that, like,
Yeah.
I mean, not that he just feels more likable.
Yeah. Yeah.
in general.
It's
than Lorca.
Yeah,
I can't believe you liked Lorca
I
that much.
love Lorca. I also love that actor so very, very much.
He just felt out of place to me.
No, I can't wait for him to come back. I want Prime Lorca to come back because
Will he have more personality?
yeah, probably. I didn't see a lack of personality, but I do see what you're saying about like being stoic and being gruff and not playing off of this non-charismatic Burnham very well. I can appreciate that. But yeah, with Anson Mount playing Pike, like we only saw Pike in one episode in the original series, and it was the pilot that never aired.
Oh, okay.
Well, it aired, but it didn't air until much later.
Okay.
Because like Pike, I should show it to you. It's the show that was supposed to launch Star Trek and didn't.
Okay.
And in that episode, Pike was the captain of the Starship Enterprise, and his first officer was not Spock. His first officer was a woman named Number One. We never got her name. And Spock was the science officer. And it was very gruff, and it was very like Pike in this episode was beleaguered by the weight of command. Like he just got through a traumatic experience.
Okay.
And he's like, who am I to be the captain to decide who lives and who dies? And he's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And this was a couple of years ago. Like, according to the timeline, this still all happened.
Okay.
And this was just a couple of years, I think 2 years before the Pike that we're seeing today.
Oh.
And what happens in the episode is that he kind of regains his faith in Starfleet and the Federation and in being a captain again.
Okay.
So it makes sense that we have the Pike that we have today, who's charismatic and, loves being in command, because he goes through this reaffirming experience.
Okay.
But what happened is that the studio did not like it. They're like, this guy is too serious. He's too
Lorca?
He's
messing with you.
He's too downtrodden. I know you're messing with me. He's too downtrodden, and also there's no way in hell we're putting a woman as the first officer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's frustrating. Okay.
And so
The day. And
the steward's like, if you want this show to happen, you got to make some changes. So they fired Jeffrey Hunter as Pike. They got rid of the female first officer. They got in Shatner to be the captain because he could be more lighthearted. And they made Spock the first officer. And they made the actress, who was Number One, she became a nurse.
Oh, jeez.
And like not even the chief medical officer, she became a nurse.
Wow.
And it was Gene Roddenberry's wife.
Okay.
Michelle Barrett. And so like that's how Star Trek began. Like that's why we have Shatner, is because the studio did not like Pike. And now we're getting Pike, and now we're getting Number One.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rebecca Romaine is going to be Number One, and she's actually getting a name, and
right.
So people are super excited. I'm super excited, and yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but that's kind of the history of it. And so this is like like that.
I didn't know any of that. That's very interesting.
It's very fascinating. I really should show it to you.
Yeah,
just from
absolutely.
a perspective. Like I don't particularly like the episode that much, and I'm glad that they changed things. But it's interesting.
Gives you some history. Yeah, absolutely.
And so like that was 2 years before this.
In the timeline.
And I think Pike was like, because I'm not trying to throw down too much history, but like the first captain of the Enterprise was actually Robert April.
Okay.
Like the Enterprise is an old ship.
Okay.
And so it's like Robert April and Pike was the first officer. Then Robert April left and Pike became the first officer. Became the captain. And then I think he was the captain of the Enterprise for like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And then he left, became an admiral, and then Spock became the first officer, and then Kirk became the captain. Why Spock didn't become
the captain?
The captain, I'm not quite sure. I think because he was a junior science officer, so I think he still had a few ranks to go there.
Okay.
And so in this, I think in Discovery, Spock should still just be a junior science officer.
Okay.
And that's it.
Interesting. It was funny, the comment when they're like the team from the Enterprise is walking on Discovery and they say like, "Oh, I see where all the money is." I thought that was a really funny comment because it still bothers me that we're in that timeline of before, because of how like technologically advanced the ship is compared to like what you would have seen in the original series, right? So that still bothers me a lot, but at the same time, it was funny that they kind of made light of it and said that kind of little comment.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I did find that amusing because like one said like, "Oh, I can see where all the resources are going," saying like Discovery's so advanced, and then Pike's like, "Hey, it's okay, don't be jealous because we still have we get the new uniforms," and then boom, that explains the different uniforms right then and there.
Exactly.
All that's taken care of.
Right. It was like
dialogue.
one line and then there you go, fans.
Now, of course, does that cover everything?
No, it doesn't.
Does that explain why Discovery has holograms? No. Like, does it, like there's...
Did all the money go to that?
Right. And so they're like, you have to make your peace
and
with
in a world where like money isn't important, funding.
It's an aesthetic
right.
reboot.
I understand.
Like you have to make your peace with it sometimes.
But
I get it.
I know this is like beating a dead horse, but like I still wish that it was just like an alternate timeline that like could explain why things were so technologically advanced, or like don't make it in the past. I don't know.
Or just make it post Nemesis. Like
Right,
don't make any reference to Spurk.
The Spurk. Okay.
Like Spock or Kirk or anything like that. That's actually like the name that people give in fan fiction.
Oh, really?
To when people put them in romantic.
Oh, really?
Spock and Kirk in romantic relationships. Don't know where that came from.
Okay.
Don't know why that's on my brain. But yeah, anyway, it's neither here nor there. They're making the decisions. That's what they decided to do. So whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, so in this episode, Pike comes in and says, "Okay, so the Enterprise is like super damaged. Like we went through some crap, and so it needs to be. We don't know how long it's gonna take to be repaired. But these red lights are popping up everywhere. We need Discovery, and so Pike is taking over Discovery under order. Blah 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 blah. And so Saru's not the captain,
which I didn't like.
You didn't like?
Well, I just I guess, okay, so I have mixed feelings because I thought it was cool that they were making Saru the captain, and I was interested to see where that would go. And it just felt kind of like, no, we're going to make the pretty boy the captain. It was like not the alien. And I just felt like, they kind of made it okay at the end of the episode where like they're going to share duties or whatever like that. But
how do you do that?
How did that happen?
How does that work?
Right? Like, I'm like, no, you just want Pike to be there for like the man candy. Like, for real. Like, you wouldn't need that.
I think it's interesting. I'm intrigued to see what Pike does because he's clearly going to be there for the season, but he can't stay. Like he cannot. He has to go and captain the Enterprise.
Yeah, so it can't be that long.
He can't be that long. So I think what's going to happen is that like a season of television for us is not going to be a full year.
Right. It'll just be like this is that period.
I think it's going to be like a
of time.
couple of months or something like that, maybe even less. that's just my guess because you don't want to screw with the timeline too terribly much. But I was towards the end of season 1. Like if you told me, oh, Saru's going to be the captain of Discovery at the beginning of season 1 or even halfway through season 1, I'd be like, I don't see it. But towards the end of season 1, I was like, let's do this.
Oh, yeah.
Make Saru the captain.
Me too. I was totally rooting for him. So then when they like immediately took it away, it felt a lot like what we were feeling at the beginning of season 1 when I thought that, what's her name? Help me out. Who was
Michelle
it?
Yeoh?
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh was going to be the captain. And then
Philippa Georgiou.
Yeah, and it was immediately taken away. So it felt kind of similar in that way. Where it was like, oh, we were promised something and we were behind it. And even though like we didn't really get a chance to experience Michelle Yeoh as the captain and we got to see her like occasionally, it was like, wait, you said that this was going to happen. And now it feels the same way where, wait, you said that Saru was going to be the captain and now, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I wonder if maybe by season 3 we'll finally get Saru as the captain.
Like, really? I don't know.
My interest in what they're going to do with Pike outweighs my disappointment of not seeing Saru as captain.
Okay.
I guess it's just
no.
me.
I mean, I like Pike as a character. Like, I really do. I just don't think like, couldn't he just be on board for a time to do? I don't know. What would you do? I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs, but like, still keep him like Saru as the captain. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes. But that first episode, I mean, it was one minor thing, like not minor thing for me, but they shot it in anamorphic 2.39.
Yeah.
And you can tell by the actually I think Mike Schindler, who's also a host on the network at thenerdparty.com, he actually asked, I think it was either an editor or a DP, I think it was the editor, and asked if they were shooting natively in anamorphic, and he said, yeah. They are shooting native. It's not just shooting it in 16:9 and then cropping it to 2.39 anamorphic. They're actually shooting it in anamorphic with anamorphic lenses.
That's pretty cool.
Because there's certain times like when you do rack focus or when like certain lens flares only happen within an anamorphic lens. And when you look at it, you're just like, holy crap, this looks like a movie.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like last season felt like they poured so much money into it, but it feels like even this season it's even more. It's like, what kind of budget? Like, it's like a cinema budget. Like, it
looks like it,
right? I mean, it's intense. So I mean, I'm just glad it's getting better.
Honestly, like I could watch them again right now. That's how much I loved that opener.
Oh wow!
And I'm not one to rewatch things. Like, I mean,
we do, but
I mean, immediately.
Okay,
like,
I understand.
I'm not one to rewatch a TV show episode.
Right.
Because like some of my friends online are saying, like, on my 4th time rewatching the episode, I'm just like, calm down. But it's like I saw somebody to say, like, you could tell that every single dollar spent was shown on screen, and it is true. It's just it looks so crisp and clean and just beautiful, and it's just you feel like you're watching a movie.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they definitely have a clear art direction they're going in.
It's much brighter than season 1 too.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, it just feels like it's gelling. Definitely. What did you think about the second episode?
Yes, we don't really need to go through like a summary. If you saw the episode, you saw the episode.
We're just sharing our thoughts on it.
New Eden. That's the name of the episode, the second season, New Eden. It was, the concept kind of had me roll my eyes at first. I was just kind of like, oh God, we've been here before. We've seen this. We've done this.
It's a very Trek episode.
It's a very Trek episode. But as they started moving on, I was just like, oh, okay, well, they're showing a few different things. This is a little bit different spin. They're humans, blah, blah, blah. There was a few things that were very convenient that happened in the episode that I didn't really like. I was just like, oh, I caught myself saying that 3 times, like, oh, that's convenient. Oh, that's convenient. Oh, glad you were there at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I understand that. I think it felt very the episodic Trek, right? Like,
it did.
This is the scenario where we're going to help this planet, and then we go away. right?
And the twist is that the red light somehow brought them there.
Right.
And Captain Pike, he was kind of thinking like, I feel like this red angel, this red light brought us here. Why did they bring us here? Even Saru was saying that. It was like, maybe this is why we were brought here, to do this, to save this group of people.
Right.
And so it makes you think maybe there's a larger plan. Who is directing that red light? Who is the red angel? And they started having the faith conversation.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Even not just a faith conversation, but a religious conversation.
It was very interesting. And I think the idea of like, this society combining all to make their own because of where they came from and everything, like, and then passed down to generation. Again, that is a very like Trek idea, which, probably every series has done, but it was interesting to see them take kind of like that. Would you call it a bottle episode as well?
No, not a bottle episode.
I'm sorry. I'm using the wrong term, but like it's just more of like
a self-contained
story,
yeah.
Right? So my type of bottle.
A bottle episode is when it 100% takes place on the ship.
That's right. So just this idea of, okay, we're doing this mission and then we're going away. Whereas we didn't have a lot of that in the first season.
Not so much. It was there. It was,
but it was like I said before,
not that memorable.
Yeah, it wasn't. Whereas you could tell me like, oh, the one with the church, the
right.
humans on the planet with the church,
right?
And then I'd be like, oh yeah, the second episode.
It's really funny that you bring that up. The previous thing that you said about how every Star Trek show has done that about the faith and about these. These people here battling with this and everything like that. You're not even the biggest Star Trek fan, and you know that.
Yes.
Because what happened
I've watched enough Trek to see it before.
It was either today or yesterday where the Hollywood Reporter tweeted out saying that New Eden breaks new ground in Star Trek on a subject untouched by the franchise, faith.
Well, that's full of crap.
Everyone jumped on it like, have you ever seen Star Trek? It deals with religion all the time.
Right.
Deep Space Nine was 7 seasons of basically that concept.
That's ridiculous.
The protagonist on Deep Space Nine was a literal emissary of the prophets.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is not new. They just did it in their own way.
They just did it, and that's
right,
what
and
makes
that's
it
what you were
interesting.
looking for. I mean, honestly, like Trek fans, there's only so many stories you can tell, right? In this universe, right? And it still exists in this universe that we've seen before. So you're seeing it in a modern telling, right? With this crew. And I think that's what, from my perspective as a non-Star Trek fan who's watching Discovery with you, and I'm enjoying it. Like, I feel like you still want to feel like you're watching Star Trek, but the goal for this series is to see it in an updated way with this crew
and see something new.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that, and so I think, I like the concept. I like. The execution felt a little rushed. I feel like if they spent less time on Tilly and more time on the church, it would have been a little bit more fleshed out for me, and they wouldn't have had to have so many recap conversations.
I was honestly okay with it. I mean, I wasn't in love with the episode, but I was entertained by the episode, and I didn't necessarily feel that way about the Tilly storyline. No, I really didn't. I think that we're so used to television having this long arc, kind of like we'll go back to like the Breaking Bad, the Mad Men days, where like everything takes its time, that I feel like we're going back here in this type of series where it's okay for them to get on a planet, solve the problem, and then get off the planet.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And I'm all right with that. If each episode this season is a new, okay, now we're going to a different red light, I'm okay with that. I really am.
That's not so much what I was saying.
Okay.
That's not so much what I was saying.
Because it feels like you're saying that it was rushed, to solve the problem.
No, not rush to solve the problem. I'm fine with them solving the problem and doing what they needed to do in one episode.
Okay.
100% okay with that. I just feel like there was a few things that were like, okay, so they were immediately discovered in the church, and then somebody said, like, why aren't you in the fields? And like, oh, we're not from here. And then immediately after that, all of a sudden, the person who is the head of this village or whatever is giving them a history of everything that the audience needs to know. And it was like bing, bang, boom. And then we did this. And then we came here and our ancestors did this. And then we did that. And then we did that. Is the audience caught up? I hope so. And and in that moment, I was just like, there could have been a much more organic way to find this out, to have this conversation. So we're not just having someone have a literal monologue in front of a fireplace or in front of a fire. And that's was just a microcosm of what I didn't like about the episodes. Again, I'm complaining about it, but I shouldn't be, because it was an entertaining episode. I did like it. I just wasn't blown away by it. I think the reason why I'm so hard on it is because the first episode was so good and so energetic and so amazing and so honestly, I loved it. It was my favorite Discovery episode by far, and then just to jump down in energy, and I'm not saying quality, but like value, so hard. Like if it was reversed, like if New Eden was the opener, I'd be like, okay, all right, interesting. They're going in a different direction. Like like this is we're going in a much more episodic
Would
feel.
you though?
No, I'm lying.
I was gonna say,
I'm trying to find
I feel like you have to
balance
open
here.
with an awesome storyline to catch the audience and keep going.
I take it back. I completely take it back. What I was trying to say is that if the opener wasn't so amazing, let me rephrase. If the opener wasn't so amazing, and then followed by this, I don't think I would have judged it as harshly.
I didn't think it was that far of a fall, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like, I felt like it was in the same tone, and even, but I mean, obviously it wasn't as, like you were saying, energy wise, like it wasn't as epic, but like,
you can't do that every episode.
You can't, otherwise we'd be critiquing it for that, right? So I feel I was totally fine with, I really feel good about where they're going, and I liked the episode. I can see what you're saying about like certain things were convenient. I totally understand that, but I still made my peace with it.
I need to watch it again.
I didn't really roll my eyes once, honestly.
I really need to watch it again, because the next morning I went online and people, and I just thought it was like, okay, I'm just like, okay, good episode, entertaining, but let's move on. Let's see what happens next week. People were saying it was like the best episode of all time.
Really?
Not only their best, not only their favorite Discovery episode, but like their favorite Star Trek episode. I was like, guys, was it really that good? Like, did you really like it that much? Like, I even actually asked people that. I said, did you really like it that much? They said, absolutely, 100%. That was mind-blowing. And I'm like, really? I just kept going, really?
Yeah, I am totally on the same page with you. Like, I've seen better Trek episodes, and I feel like the season 2 opener was better than this one.
Yeah, right?
I feel like that too. But I mean, I liked it. I was entertained.
Yeah.
But apparently it just was the best thing ever for some people, which is totally fine. That's awesome.
Yeah, like I didn't criticize a single person, and nor would I ever or even feel the need to do that. I was just surprised because it just did not connect with me the way that it connected with other people.
Well, it's just interesting because like Discovery has gotten a lot of heat from the fans. Like, you know, the harshest critics are Star Trek fans, right?
Ugh,
and so it feels like, you know, obviously maybe it's kind of redeeming itself in their eyes a little bit.
Well, I mean, there's one Star Trek fan that I know who's a good friend of mine who just wrote off season 1. It was like he just couldn't stand it. Could not stand it. Big Star Trek fan. Couldn't stand it, and didn't even give the second half of season 1 a try, even though I pleaded with him to try it because it's so much better than the first half of season 1. He watched Brother, the opener, because they released it free on YouTube, and he said, he's like, this is what I wanted out of season 1.
Well, that was really smart of them to release on YouTube because then it kind of like drew in some fans that maybe, like your friend, who maybe wouldn't have given it a shot.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope he continues to watch season 2. Mm-hmm. And if he's listening, I hope you will go back and watch the second half of season 1.
Yeah, I think it's, there's still I still have a lot of issues with that part. Like even season 1, the later half, I still have some issues with it. Like,
well, yeah, it's not perfect.
Yeah, like I have no need to go back and watch it at all. Whereas like the way that, I mean, again, we've only watched 2 episodes of this season, right? But so far, like if you were to ask me some distance from now, not right now, but like to watch it again, I'd be like, yeah, I could do that because they're that good of episodes alone. Like,
so not like right
alone.
now.
No.
All right. Well, what are you hoping for out of the rest of season 2?
I think I'm hoping just to continue to enjoy the characters, and so far the characters they've brought on, like Pike, and Tignataro, had that little tiny spot, but like it was fun. Have been enjoyable and haven't been like, oh, why did they bring this person on? Because sometimes you have that happen in season 2 where you're just like, oh, why did they bring this person into the mix? Yeah, exactly. Like the new kid in school, you're like, oh, I can't stand them. But I feel like so far so good. I hope they continue with the quality and they're not wasting space, because I feel like they wasted a lot of time last season, and there was just a lot of boring, for me at least, as a non-Star Trek fan. Whereas so far, I feel like they found their footing, and I hope they continue to do so.
Absolutely.
How about you?
Oh yeah, I am such a fanboy. I want to see more of the Enterprise.
Okay.
I want to see number 1.
Okay.
I want to see Spock.
Okay.
And I know that Discovery is resting on that nostalgia. I understand that. I hope that they don't use it as a crutch. I really don't. I hope that they find their own footing and that they become their own show. But at the same time, I'm just like, oh my God, give it to me. Give me the Enterprise. Like when Michael walked in.
They know that though, right?
I hope so, because when Michael walked into Spock's quarters, I lost it. Like I could tell that they were rubbing this nostalgia in my face, and I just didn't care. Also, all these rooms are gigantic.
I was gonna say, like, how big are these ships? Like, from any other series I've seen, they are not that big.
No, like the Ready Room is bigger than our townhouse. And Spock's quarters, like when you put all those, like, that's the thing, is that like at this time I think he's just a junior science officer. Why on earth is a junior science officer have those quarters?
Like equivalent to like a mansion on a spaceship. Yeah.
And like
vaulted ceilings.
And
like I'm just kidding.
Vaulted ceilings, yeah. And
it felt like
is that crown molding? My goodness. And Burnham is the science officer.
Yeah.
Is a science officer, and she has to share a room with Tilly.
Right, yeah.
And even that is a gigantic room, but they're still bunkmates.
Yeah.
So why on earth does Spock have that room?
Yeah, it feels weird.
It does feel that red room is so gigantic.
It felt weird. Yeah.
I know they did it from a production standpoint so they could get more interesting angles. I get that.
But you enjoyed the nostalgia of going back and be like, oh, that's Spock's room.
Yes.
I
seeing
get it.
the loot, seeing the chess.
Right.
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
And are they trying to make us feel like Michael and Spock had a thing?
I can't tell.
I feel like they're trying to make us feel that way so
I
that
think
people
they're gonna
guess
take it away.
but then take it away.
I think so too.
I feel like that's what they're doing.
I just feel like I feel like that would be too easy, right? Like I think it needs to be more complicated than that.
It does need to be more complicated than that.
Like I hope that that's not the case.
It needs to be complicated, and sex or romance or anything like that can be complicated, but not in this sense. It's easy.
Yeah, and I feel like it did pass my mind. Like it did. It crossed my mind. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, I hope they're smarter than that.
I think they'll do something different. I do think that they'll surprise us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited. I really want to see Rebecca Romijn.
Yes.
I really want to see Rebecca Romijn.
That'll be really fun.
Spock can wait. Like, I'm fine with waiting a couple more episodes.
Well, don't you think that part of it is like you hope that the person who plays Spock doesn't ruin it? Isn't there part of that that's kind of coming with it?
I don't really care.
No, you don't
care?
I
really don't. I think it's an interpretation.
Okay.
You know, it's one man's interpretation.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm sure that fans will be very critical.
Oh, I'm sure. I know. I'm sure.
Yeah,
people...
I mean, they're critical of him having a beard. So I mean,
oh my gosh, the guy's out in the wilderness. And now we find out that he's in a psychiatric institution.
Right.
I mean, like, yeah, there's everyone. Like the moment that I saw Spock had a beard, I'd be like, oh, I'm sure there's a reason. Like I'm sure he was out and about and he just didn't have time to shave. There you go. I just if he does a job that I don't really dig on, I'm not going to look at Leonard Nimoy and go, "You're ruined."
Right. Like I hope people can separate it enough to be like, okay, this is Discovery's version of this, you know, or whatever. But yeah. I think it's better though, like you said, I hope that they don't use it as a crutch because I think there is something to that for fans. And like I've experienced that definitely, you know, when I look back at like certain Star Wars elements, right, where I'm like, well, now that's in my head and now I can't get it out. Like even though I try to separate it, it's still like in your head. So I hope that it's more of like here's some fan service that makes you happy versus like really diving into it and changing things that could make fans frustrated. Because I totally get that.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, folks. That was our episode. Let us know what you thought of the first 2 episodes of Discovery. You can do that by going to thenerdparty.com/contact, selecting Nerd Nuptial from the drop-down menu, filling out the form. It'll send us an email. And you can also find us on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, just by going to thenerdparty.com. There's the links all over there, or just search The Nerd Party wherever you're going. And also, if you like what we're doing, please go to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. If you give us a 5-star review, we'll mention you on the show.
I love you.
I know.
Scully,
Yes?
marry me.
I love you and I like you.
I love you and I like you.
I love that woman. I love her more than sharks love blood.
I love you.